Aloha cohort. I'm excited as we come down to the last week of our program, and excited to share a few of the things that I feel like I've learned from our class on the interconnected, globalized ministry that we find ourselves in. I think the largest thing, or the most impactful thing that I engaged with over the course of the semester, was the idea of a more complete gospel. In New York, we had talked about the kind of the gospel of the gap, where Jesus is over here, or God is over here, and we are over here, and there's a big gap, and basically we just try and get across the gap, and that's pretty much it. Well, we asked a lot of questions and engaged with things that would challenge us reducing the gospel to some degree to only that picture alone. And what I really appreciated and began to engage with more and more is that more full or more complete picture of the gospel that was painted for us, even by Dr. Kandia, with regards to God, to self, to others, and even creation. When I consider the implications of that salvation between us and God, well, all of us know that we're saved by grace, and we're saved because He loved us. And that has incredible implications for our understanding of self. It helps us to really engage with the reality that God knows exactly who we are. He knows our broken spots, that while we are, yes, broken, while we are sinful, that He is sort of restoring us into that original design and intent. And as if we can just drop the waterline a little bit, more and more in our discipleship, deal with some of the deeper issues that actually inform how we lead and how we deal with people, how we interact with God. It's so powerful. And in fact, that then impacts the way we see other people and how we interact with them. Three particular things that really stood out for me was that the idea of the relationships between people that are so impacted by the saving grace of God. That if God is restoring me, then He is actively restoring we. And when we were reading things like Hunter, who was talking about what it really means to change the world, he was talking about faithful presence and things like that. Well, what he's talking about is restoring that sort of shalom theme to every area of our life, not just to get us across that sin gap, but that it affects everything until we get to heaven, and then it keeps on affecting things. And so that also has a powerful result in the way that we have partnerships, global partnerships in particular. I was just really challenged and refined in my thinking about how we continue to engage globally, how we continue to pursue our missions expression in Japan, and what true partnership really looks like, the degree of humility necessary, the long-term approach so that our helping doesn't turn into hurting, and for us to have a really clear picture of what partnership looks like. And that would actually even lead into possibly some measure of reconciliation. The gentleman from Rwanda in the video that we interacted with, it was so powerful as he began to share the gospel and the message of reconciliation, that ministry. And Paul talks about that in Corinthians, that we've been given that. And what I was really challenged with is, how then, in my world, in my little part of the globe, am I walking out that shalom gospel, that full picture gospel, in how I am reconciling myself with other people, or people to people, groups to groups, things like that. And it's just really, really powerful for me to think that way. And even just lastly, the creation, that there is true implications in the gospel for the way that we steward resources on this planet, the way that we take care of the earth, the way that we take care of our land and our waters in Hawaii. That's a really big thing. And I think all of those combined really helped me to ask some better questions as to how can we faithfully live out our assignment here in Hawaii. When it comes to the other side of the question that we've been asked, what would we change about developing leaders in our context? I think there are three things that I would change. The first would be, we come historically from a church, a movement that grew so rapidly. I mean, really, really amazing, the legacy that we have at New Hope. But as an outsider coming into New Hope over the last 5 years and being sort of grafted and adopted into the family, what I see is often this either or mentality of it's either we're about evangelism or we're about discipleship. It's either we do all of these things over here, but we don't do. And I just feel like moving forward, I think there is a way for us to go and do both and. That as we develop leaders for the future of our church, that we enhance and encourage evangelism and discipleship that promote a holistic gospel that embraces that shalom promise that God has for us all throughout Scripture. And I think conversations and training and equipping towards that end would be really, really helpful. Secondly, I think creating more consistent spaces to explore the gospel implications for self and others, meaning just dropping the waterline. As we've been going along in this course of interconnected ministry in a globalized world, I'm realizing the interconnectedness of our own development, our own hurts, our own deep woundedness, and even just engaging with some of the things in our other course through Pete Scazzero. Just how can we create more spaces to drop the waterline of our heart to really expose things that can bring about the partnership and reconciliation that we really, really need to accomplish the gospel mission in wherever we serve. So the third thing I would do is as we create that kind of space to have those conversations, slow down a little bit, the third thing I would do is ask, who can we partner with locally? Can we re-engage that conversation even here at New Hope Hawaii Kai? How can we figure out partners at all kinds of different levels to partner with to accomplish the task of, say, faithful presence, to accomplish the task of ushering in shalom to our communities? And so we could do that just through just meeting with people, and there's a couple of people on my list that I want to try and follow up with just within our community. But also I would love to see in that developing of partnership, I would love to see the leveraging of technology, whether it's new software or new tech tools, just real simple things that can help us connect a little bit easier, communicate a little bit more consistently, and really help to embrace the reality that we are in a globalized world, that while we find ourselves in one of the most remote places on the planet, in Hawaii, a little dot in the middle of the ocean, that we have such an incredible reach locally and globally, that if we can just leverage a couple more tools, if we can learn a couple more things, if we can ask a few better questions, I think we're going to see us step into this next season of ministry at our church. Man, I think we're going to step into a whole new season of growth, a whole new understanding of how we're faithfully living out our assignment. Those are a couple of things that I've learned this semester, a couple of things that I want to begin to implement as we develop and disciple new leaders within New Hope Hawaii Kai. I hope your semester has been amazing, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all in the summer. Thank you so much, Dr. Kandia, and aloha.